All right, welcome back to Vinyl Latte. Today we're talking about the album that is setting the internet, the vinyl community on fire. And that is the UHQR pressing of Bill Evans Trio. And this is the Sunday at the Village Vanguard. And golly, the internet really just like pumped this up on forums, inside of VC, chat communities there, tons of YouTube videos. I mean, people are just all over this album. And if you're into Bill Evans, or if you're new to vinyl and you're starting to collect jazz and you're building out your portfolio, you've likely stumbled across this album. And you're probably wondering, what is all the hype? What's going on here? Why are all these folks raving and just talking so good about this particular pressing? And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk to the folks that just don't know. So if you're already an audiophile, if you're knee deep in audiophile pressings and you already understand why this plus UHQR makes sense, then this might not be the best video for you. I will, though, however, share with you that I will talk about some other pressings, especially audiophile ones. I'm going to give you my perspective, and I'm going to kind of give you maybe some reasons not to buy this album, and it might not be what you think. So let me go ahead and dive in here to help educate some of the new folks to the vinyl community, and let's talk about the ultra high quality record. That is what UHQR stands for. So when you see this logo and brand, UHQR, ultra high quality record. And what happens here is that this pressing of Bill Evans Trio's Sunday at the Village Vanguard just truly distinguishes itself from other audiophile versions. And honestly, there's several key ways that it does it, and we should take a moment to talk about them. But really, from a high level, if we would just summarize them, the whole concept here is just enhancing the listening experience for discerning audiophiles, right? Providing you with the best dang records that you can buy. Now, one of the standout differences with the UHQR release lies in the vinyl formulation. They press these albums on 200 gram clarity vinyl, which is just, frankly, it's known for its ultra quiet playback and minimum surface noise. So why does this matter? Well, it allows you, the listener, to fully immerse yourself into the music without the distraction of hiss and pops. And you know what I'm talking about. You know when you put one of those, you pull out some random record you just bought from the store and you put it on your turntable and it has some background noise, it has some surface noise. Well, that's what this formulation of vinyl really works hard to minimize, okay? So another significant improvement here is the 45 RPM format. This is a higher playback speed, which reduces distortion and high frequency loss. So what does that do? Well, it allows for greater detail and dynamic range. And where you're going to most likely hear that, I mean, you hear it through the whole album, but I think tracks like Solar and Alice in Wonderland really benefit immensely from this. When you listen to those tracks, you have like the instruments just sound so lifelike, and the soundstage is so expansive, especially compared to a 33 1/3 RPM pressing. The mastering process also sets the UHQR apart too. You got Kevin Gray on here. Kevin Gray is godlike in the mastering world, and his meticulous mastering from Coherent Audio really ensures that every nuance of the original recording is preserved and, quite frankly, enhanced. This is particularly noticeable in the clarity of Scott LaFaro's bass and Paul Motion cymbals. I mean, the bass on this pressing is just, oh my God, it's tight. It's got detail. It's just, it feels good. And the cymbals just have this natural shimmer that, I don't know, I didn't really feel that on other versions of this album. So yeah, I mean, I feel that if you're in the world of music, with the detail that you're getting from this pressing, you're going to be able to actually hear what the types of instruments that they're using. You're going to be able to call out brand names because it's going to be in such clear detail. You're going to know that's this and that's that. So what about comparing this album? This is what we call a audiophile pressing. How about other audiophile pressings? Well, when you compare this to, say, the Mobile Fidelity One Step, both are exceptional, but there's subtle differences. And the MoFi One Step, you know, yeah, it's a 45 RPM release, but you know, they're known for a deep, rich sound. However, some listeners might find that the UHQR's presentation is just slightly more natural and less processed. And I'm not just saying that because it's a MoFi pressing and there's usually a DSD step. It's not what I'm talking about. It's just that there's such a cleanness sometimes to the Mobile Fidelity pressings that it just sucks sometimes that life out of a record. Not all of them are like that. I'm not saying that. All right, so I am a MoFi fan. I do buy MoFi records, but I gotta say some of them, they do lack a little bit of energy. And overall, when you get a UHQR pressing, you're gonna have all the life in the music in it. It comes with a box of life. And when you think about the pressings, the MoFi has a fantastic vinyl formula, but the Clarity vinyl can offer a quieter background and in certain cases, and I think that's really critical during the quieter, more introspective moments of the album. You have also this other release from Analog Productions that is in 45 RPM, and it's the Riverside box set. That's what we tend to call it. And that's another, just quite frankly, high quality pressing. And it shares the same mastering engineer. You got Kevin Gray on both. So what's the deal here? Well, I think that from the UHQR, you're going to benefit from the improved pressing technology and the Clarity vinyl formulation. I mean, I really think that's it. I think the results are going to be marginal. You're going to have just this marginally quieter and more detailed playback coming from the UHQR. When you buy a record, sometimes the packaging does matter as well. And with UHQR, you got one of probably the best packaging in the market. They release albums that are in the highest quality. You got a luxurious box. You get a wooden dowel with this gold text going down the side. I mean, it's beautiful presentation. You have liner notes. It comes with a high resolution photos. I mean, you just get lost in what's going on in this presentation. And I think that the overall, right, you have amazing sound quality and an amazing box that comes with it with all this great stuff. It's a combination. It enhances the visual appeal and enhances the collectability of the item, and I think this is why when UHQRs go out of print, they tend to go for big dollars because people want these box sets. Me, I like it. It's nice. It's feels like you bought something, especially for the money. I would rather see something smaller. This takes up a god-awful amount of shelf space, but it's a nice packaging. So what does it come down to? Well, let's unpack here for a moment. I think while all these audiophile pressings offer superb quality, the UHQR pressing of Sunday at the Village Vanguard by Analog Productions really does stand out for its Clarity vinyl, for the 45 RPM, for the exceptional mastering by Kevin Gray. And I think when you start adding all these elements, the presentation, the sound quality, the quiet noise floor, and a very, very dynamic pressing where it's almost ultra quiet and it just bursts and explodes with music. I think when you combine all of those elements, you provide this just more immersive, detailed, and lifelike listening experience, making this album a worthy addition to any audiophile collection. To me, this is the definitive pressing of this album. Now, the real challenge comes in, what do you do with this when you have others? When you have the MoFi, the Riverside box set, etc. Well, this is where it comes down to, I think, your hardware and how good your listening ability is. I will tell you that on this particular pressing, I had the same experience with some of the elements of Waltz for Debby, which was the audience seemed to be louder and more pronounced. I think that it was more favored towards the bottom end, I think, which really enhanced some of the elements of the record in many cases. But unlike Waltz for Debby, where I was a little bit critical on Bill Evans' piano sound, I didn't have that same experience with this particular one. And that's rolling off the brightness of the piano. I thought that Bill Evans' piano sounds fantastic on this particular pressing. The other thing is this is one of the few pressings that I played more than once in a single session. I literally played it and then played it again, and then the next morning played it a third time, just because I was so blown away by the clarity and the richness. Now, yeah, I can hear the audience more than some of the other pressings. It's more in your face because you're extracting more detail from the album. And for Waltz for Debby, I found that sometimes distracting. I didn't find it as distracting on this album. And I don't know if this is my ears or getting used to it because I've been spending my time in this world of Waltz for Debby and now Village Vanguard. So I don't know if I'm just getting used to it and I'm starting to mentally block it out, or if this is really not as distracting. So when I was playing it back, I did try to pay attention, and it almost seems like, man, when the music gets going, you don't hear the audience that much. It almost feels like you stepped into a studio with Bill Evans and his trio, and you think that like, my God, this is a studio recording. It's that freaking good, and then you realize it's not. And it's a live recording, and you just sit there in awe about how amazing this pressing really sounds. And quite frankly, that's why the internet's on fire. So I told you I had a little couple negatives to it, and I think, yeah, the audience, because it's more detailed record, it's a little bit more distraction than what I heard on other records. The thick box set was just a general complaint for me. And $150 if you already have the MoFi or the Riverside. If you have the equipment, it might be worth picking up. If you're a big Bill Evans fan and you want the definitive pressing, probably worth picking up. If you don't care that much and you feel like your MoFi or your Riverside sounds fan-freaking-tastic, good for you. Save some coin. Don't pick this up. But I can tell you personally, I would hate, and I'm not trying to feed the FOMO, I'd hate not having my hands on this and realizing what I missed out and have to go pay gouging prices on the internet later once this is sold out. I think we have a good window right now where they're in stock and you can pick them up for a reasonable price, and I think that the price is worth the entry fee on this one. That's my thoughts. So digest that. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, and while you do that, I'm going to grab myself another cup of coffee, and I'll see you on the next video.